So let's get started on our journey to designing a 32-bit floating point adder and subtractor. Now in this video we're going to look at the final result of the course. We want to be able to see exactly what it is we're going to design. So if you go to the resources section, you'll see the adder and subtractor file. So you can go ahead and open that up in Logisim. Now when you open that up, if you head into the top level here, so double click on that and it'll open up this window. Now we're going to have the X input here. We're going to have the Y input here. We're going to be able to choose whether we add or subtract with this button. So the 0 will be add and the 1 will be subtract. Now you can see the inputs for the X and Y, they head into the adder and subtractor block here. Now on the right hand side, we've got some flags here for some special cases. On the left hand side, we have the type of number that we have on the input and also the type of number we have on the output. So for example, you can have two types of number, either a normal or a subnormal. So in the top instance here, we would have a normal input and a normal input, and it would give us a normal output. Now down the bottom here, we're going to have the result. So don't worry if you're looking at these blocks and you don't understand what they are. They will be explained thoroughly in the rest of the course. But let's just go ahead and we'll put in a couple of numbers. But before we know what numbers we're going to put in, we're going to have to convert the numbers to hexadecimal. We don't want to continually put in 32-bit numbers, so we would have 32 ones and zeros. That would just be really annoying. So what we're going to do is put the number format in hexadecimal. So that means that for every 4 bits, we're going to have 1 hexadecimal bit. So in the end, we're going to have 8 hexadecimal values here, which will represent the 32-bit floating point number. So here's an example here. We have a 32-bit floating point number. This end here is the least significant bit, and this end here is the most significant bit. Now we don't want to put these 32 ones and zeros into our adder and subtractor. It's much simpler if we only have to put in 8 bits. And these are the 8 bits of the hexadecimal value which represent this 32-bit number here. So hexadecimal goes from 0 to 15. So we're going to have 16 possible values. So the first 4 bits here get split into one hexadecimal number. Then the next 4 bits goes into another hexadecimal, and so on and so forth. So for example, the first bit here in hexadecimal is going to be 1, 2, 4, 8. So that's going to be 2 plus 4, which is a value of 6. And the final number here is going to be the 1, 2, that will be 4 and 8. So that's going to be a value of 12. 12 in hexadecimal is C. So this is the hexadecimal number for the 32-bit binary number. So let's go ahead and we'll add our first 2 numbers. If you get into the resources section, you'll find an Excel spreadsheet. So if you go ahead and open that up, make sure you're on the Tools tab, and then you can choose Add, Subtract. So when you double click on that button, we'll have the Add and Subtract tool. Now I created this in order to help us work through the simulation of our adder and subtractor, and we'll go through this in a bit more detail as we work through the course. But for now, all we need to know is we have the X value at the input here, we have the Y value for the input here, we have the Add and Subtract button, and we have the answer which will appear up here. So let's put in a couple of random numbers, and you can put in whatever number you like. Now when I put that number in, you'll see that it tells us that that number is a normal number. It also gives us the 8-bit hexadecimal value for the number. And let's say we're going to add on some other number. Again, it gives us the 8-bit hexadecimal value. And it gives us the result in decimal here. And it also gives us the result in the 8-bit hexadecimal. Now notice also it gives us the 32-bit representation of the x value and the representation of the 32-bit y value, and also the 32-bit representation of the final answer. But we'll go through this in more detail whenever we work through some of the other videos, and you'll get used to using this, and we'll be using it quite regularly. So let's take a little copy of some of these results and we'll put them into the adder and subtractor, and we'll see that we do actually get the correct result. So let me go ahead and I'll take a copy of these hexadecimal values and we'll go and put them into the final Logisim version of our adder and subtractor. So this is the hexadecimal value for the x input, this is a hexadecimal value for the y input, and this is the final hexadecimal answer. So let's put these into the adder and subtractor. So I'll quickly type them in. So the x value goes in at this point here, and again we'll work through and build this entire circuit so you'll understand exactly what all of these components are whenever we work through the course. So we have 40B926E9, and the y input is going to be 47842F00. And you'll see here that the answer down here is going to be 478431E5, and that's the answer we've got up here, which is 478431E5. So it does work and it does give you the correct result. So finally, let's have a look at some of the flags. You can see here that the not exact flag has been set. This tells us that in order to get to the result, we've had to go through some rounding. Also on the left hand side here, you can see that the NNN flag has been set. This tells us that we have a normal input on X and a normal input on Y, and the final result is a normal output. So that covers the main part of the adder and subtractor. It shows us how we're able to generate some numbers, put them in, and go through the addition. So finally, if you want to do a subtraction, you simply click on the subtract button and you'll see that we get a different result, and that is the result from a subtraction. So that's how our floating point adder and subtractor is going to work. So let's go ahead in the next video and we'll show you how we're going to build the top level of our adder and subtractor in Logisim. Thank you for listening. I'll get you on the next video. Goodbye.